The reason why not having a joint account has worked is because we don't have secrets.
Talking about how wise in men, okay, women go to church and men are not there. You just check when Christianity came to Africa and check when Christianity came to Nigeria, right?
What value do you give to family prayer? If you value family prayer, then you will pray.
Hello and welcome to Safe House with Hetty. Safe House with Hetty is a TV talk show that focuses majorly on marriages and relationships. My name is Henrietta Okechukwu and I'm your host for the show. Today we are talking about communication skills in marriage. When communication gets blocked, turbulent and destructive, the words that come out become very heartbreaking. So, if you want a happy relationship, then work on your communication skills. With me in the studio today, I have two wonderful guests. He is a relationship and marriage counselor, the MD of a landscaping company called the Green Fingers. Meet Mr. Soji Olayinka. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I have a beautiful lady here, married. She is a gender and development expert. She is a social worker, a woman and child rights advocate. Meet Mrs. Patient Oluwasetan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on set today. We're talking about communication skills in marriage. Mr. Soji, what is marital communication? Because I've heard a lot of people say marriage this, marriage that. People don't communicate properly in marriage. The husbands shout, the wives cry, and so many other things. Please tell us, what is communication in marriage?
All right, thank you. Communication in marriage can be divided into different segments.
Okay.
One, communication in thoughts.
Okay.
Communication in speech. Even communication in signs.
Okay.
You find some married couples with a sign, they've already shared information. Some married couples with a way of behavior, they have shared communication. So communication is actually movement of information from one individual to his or her partner, and the other one understanding that movement of information.
Wow.
So that's basically what communication
Just
is.
like they taught us in secondary school, communication is sending a message and to the receiver, and the receiver responding.
Yes.
So I want to ask, is it possible that people communicate in marriage and they still have so much troubles? Madam, can you help us with that?
Okay. Thank you very much. First and foremost, just like Mr. Soji rightly said, communication has to be complete when there is a feedback. So I think where there are issues in marriages in terms of communication is because they do not have a feedback coming in. Now, when you pass an information across and it is not put forward in a clear term for the woman or the man to understand, there's bound to be that problem, that friction of carrying out that information in the proper way which it's meant to arrive at. And that's why you have that issues in communication. So it's very possible to have that problem in terms of communicating with each other when you do not pass the right information across and passing it very well.
Now, thank you very much. We also have a situation whereby some men say women talk too much. So instead of listening to the women, they just block their ears. And women feel the men are not listening. The men are not listening. So there's always one friction or the other. Yes. Mr. Soji, do women talk too much?
Well, the way to answer that question is yes and no. In fact, the truth is this: I usually don't give a blanket opinion about people. When you say, do women talk too much? There are women who don't talk too much. There are women who talk too much. So I think it's not appropriate to say women talk too much. So I've always also said that marriage is dependent, the way you handle your marriage is dependent on the two people involved. You don't, the way, if I'm married to you, for instance, I'm not married to you actually, I'm just saying. If I'm married to you, the way I'm going to deal with you
Yes.
based on your temperament
Okay.
is different from the way I'm dealing with my wife based on her temperament. Except you have the same temperament, then I'll deal with you the same way. So there is always this uniqueness in a set of different couples. So I won't say women talk too much. I will say, yes, there are women who talk too much, and there are women who don't talk too much.
Okay. Mrs. Oluwasetan, I want to find out from you, as a gender specialist, how do you think women communicate? Because we found out that most women, they have a lot of ways of communicating. They talk, they keep quiet, they cry, and they make a lot of body signals. We know what's called verbal and non-verbal communications. So please tell us more about that as per the women, because we have a man and a woman here for a balanced discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There are various ways of communicating, and you've mentioned the verbal and the non-verbal ways of communication. Like I rightly said earlier, where there is no proper understanding in terms of communication, you are bound not to understand what the other person is saying. Okay, now, if a woman wants something from her husband, you need to be intentional in talking to each other so you will understand yourself clearly. This is what I want, not to be assumptive. Some women just grumble or they give some kind of attitude, believing that the husband would understand. Okay, I need this.
Okay.
For me, I don't think that's a good way of communicating. You should be intentional. You should talk about it so that the guy will know this is what you want. The man would understand this is what my wife wants. You don't expect him to just know from wherever that she needs this. So that is another way of communicating. You should be able to talk it out. Say it that this is what I want. And I know many women who do that. They communicate that way. And for me, I think it's a very good way of communicating. Talking to your husband, hitting the nail on the point, hitting the nail where it's meant to be, going straight to the point. This is what I want. And without making assumptions. That is it for me.
So we shouldn't make assumptions that he knows what I'm thinking
Don't
about.
make assumptions. No.
That's a very important point. Do not assume.
Don't assume.
Even when you need some money, you need to tell him, honey, I need
Yes.
so and so amount of money.
Yes.
And then he tells you, I don't have,
Yes.
or I have,
Yes.
I'm not giving you, or he ignores you. Do you understand? So now coming to Mr. Soji, why are we having so many communication problems in marriage? Why?
Okay, thank you. Before I answer that question, I want to quickly make a remark from what Mrs. Oluwasetan said about communication, about a woman at least going straight to the point and saying exactly what she wants.
Yeah.
The truth is, there are some things I've noticed being a marriage counselor and having spoken to a lot of people, that there is an area that women don't directly tell their husbands what they want, especially in the area of sex. They make body language. They don't want to come out and say, my husband, please come and give me this, I want it now. There's a way they now start to form, and the man doesn't really, the man does not know that this is what she wants, and then he's there, he wants to go and sleep and he's tired, and she's making body language and she's trying to, she doesn't want to come out. Some of those I've spoken to say that the man should understand what they want. They don't have to say it directly and open up and say, I want this now. So I think there are some areas, I mean, you may have a contrary opinion to that, but that happens in a number of situations.
Okay, exactly. Because when she said that, come out and say directly, I want this.
But that depends. That's in some instances.
Okay.
For example, I need money to cook for the children. You're already saying it.
Are you supposed to ask for money?
No, you don't have to at some point.
Okay.
You don't have to. I mean, it's for the normal
it's not. I'm not contradicting you,
Yes,
actually,
I know.
because I'm asking that because some people don't know that it's their duty to even provide that money without being asked, and sometimes it's so inconveniencing to ask for some very normal things.
Yes.
like food for the family. You don't expect me to be asking you. The communication means that we should have talked about these things. Maybe when I receive my salary month end, I give you something, for food and all that. So coming to ask you for money for food, and my husband told me something once. He said, men get defensive when they hear asking for money. It makes them angry, even no matter how well you say it.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to ask Mr. Soji now. What is it about asking for money from men, from your husband? What is it?
Okay.
How are women, because we are here to educate our guests, how are women supposed to ask their husbands for money on a very sincere term? Because
Okay. Number one, I think it's always good for the husband, for the couple to have a conversation about that, to have a deal about that. Now we're talking about a responsible man
yeah,
and a responsible wife, an ideal situation. We're not talking about men who don't care, there are some men who don't even have work. It is the woman that is providing.
Yes.
And so what is she asking from the man? The man that doesn't have money. So she brings out the money. So we're looking at an ideal situation where a man is supposed to be responsible for the family. Okay, so they should have a budget. They should always have a budget. End of the month, okay, you have 2 children, you live in this place, and then you are not your income should determine what to spend on different things: house rent, school fees, food. Now we're talking about food. Okay, so 10,000 a month, for instance, is what would sufficiently take care of the family for a month. So the man knows that. He brings 10,000 at the end of every month, like you said, without the woman asking.
yeah,
Now, where the challenge is, and I actually give credit to a lot of women, good wives, where the challenge is 10,000, even though you've calculated it for the month, is not always enough. And the woman, a good woman who also works and earns an income, will always augment.
yes,
They always do that.
always, yeah,
And they don't always go back to the husband and tell the husband that, see, I have to spend extra 4K, I have to spend extra this and that. Now, where the problem will now come is this, where there should be communication is, if you spend 4,000 naira extra, I think you should be able to let your husband know. Sometimes because they don't show it, inside them, there's this war within them. And the man will say something that does not warrant shouting, and the woman gets angry and shouts. Not because she really wants to shout over the matter. The thing is, inside her, she has spent 4,000 extra in June, 4,000 extra in July, and now she's asking for something extra in August. The man is shouting that it's 10,000 we have agreed. Now why are you asking for extra? Then they have a breakdown in communication.
exactly. And you mentioned something very, very important. You talked about temperament.
Yeah.
You understand? So imagine that businessman out there that doesn't know anything about temperament. He just comes in and does what he wants to do. My wife, this is what I have, and that's what I have. And then you start feeling like, wow, woman doesn't even care how I feel. So how are we supposed to know about this issue of temperaments in marriage? Because communication largely depends on the kind of temperament you have.
Yes.
Do you understand? There are some women that are naturally very forceful.
Yeah.
That is their nature. They don't intend to be rude, but they are just like, this is it and that is it. And then some men will say, is that how you collect money from your husband? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we want a woman that is temperamentally a choleric, for instance, to now start dancing and saying, oh honey, I need it. So I really want us to talk about this communication because it's a major problem. Yeah, so madam, how do you see this thing? You are a gender specialist. How do women communicate? I want to know, how must women communicate to get the right answers from the men? You talked about communicating for sex, for instance. You understand? Now we're communicating for money. Money is a very serious issue. Tell us, how do we communicate?
I quite agree with what Mr. Soji has said earlier. There should be a budget. This is the amount you're using, and this is what we are spending, right? Now there's a budget for such a purpose. Where you have excesses, like I said earlier, I'm someone who believes that talking to your spouse helps to solve a lot of problems. in the terms of money now, you don't expect the woman to be communicating through the sign languages, through the body and all that. Some men might notice it that, okay, this is what she wants at that point. Maybe it's money. Okay, she wants money, but they would intentionally go deaf
Ignore
or
you.
blind
Wonderful.
in that.
Exactly.
So for me, I think it's always good to hit the nail where it's meant to be. Just talk to the man about it. Come out and say, my husband, this is what I need. Yes, the money we had, we had budgeted for this particular thing. We exceeded this money. And then, okay, like in the other instance where you said some women actually always have a way of, rallying around it, trying to
Meet the
needs and
without
all that.
having to bother the man,
So
yeah.
it's okay when you open your mouth and you tell the man, and you should be able to understand yourself very well. You should know when the woman needs something and when the man needs something. So it's very important you open up to your husband, you tell him, and the husband should be a good man who listens to the wife. If your wife comes to you and says, I need money, I see no reason why it should bring friction in it. You and the woman know very well that you spend money for things, and sometimes other exigencies and other things come. So I don't see any reason wrong with you talking to your husband and telling him, this is what I want.
Wow.
Yes.
Viewers, I hope you are learning something from this. We'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this.
The family is the heartbeat of the world. It is made up of the husband, wife, and children. The society, in turn, is made up of families. Countries are made up of societies, while the world is made up of countries. Little wonder someone has said, if you destroy the family, you destroy the society.
The Bible says, if a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, and the Lord grants him favor.
Welcome back. I'm Henrietta, your host. This is Safe House with Hetty. Today we're talking about communication skill in marriage, and I have wonderful guests here. Now, back to our discussion. We have things like effective and non-effective communication. And effective communication is when you have gotten a response and then something is done about it. We also know that there are marriages where the couples are not on talking terms. They say things like, honey, I'll take you into school. 2 o'clock, I'll be back home. Just these short discussions. What do you say about such couples? Because I believe that is not communication. So, sir, Mr. Soji, as a marriage counselor, when do we know that our marriages are having communication problem?
Okay. I know that a lot of the time there are always situations where husbands and wives don't talk when they are quarreling and all of that. I think I can give examples.
Yeah.
Let me go a bit practical, talking about myself. I'm a very cheerful, playful husband. And when we have some friction, I still communicate. For instance, we still pray in the morning. I still call my wife, let's pray. If I have to give her money, I will still give her. She has studied me and she knows the kind of person that I am. The only thing that will show that we are not communicating, that we have a friction, is the extras that I put in that relationship are not there. The playfulness, I play with her a lot. I joke a lot. All the jokes will not be there. The playfulness, is not there. But anything that we need to do, we still do. I still communicate. I still call her. But there is no frills and thrills. Now, a good relationship should have that. Communication should still be made. I've had situations whereby we had a hot argument. I was supposed to give her some money. We just finished a very hot argument. She was angry. I was angry. but she needed to collect money from me, and she asked for the money, and he didn't. And maybe it was a check, or I can't remember, but I gave her the money in anger. I was still angry. Now, for me, a quarrel should not terminate or distort line of communication.
Beautiful.
It should not. There are some men, if they are angry, the wife cannot collect 1 naira from him.
Yes.
In fact, he won't talk to her for like 5 days. And I know from experience also of other people that women, they can be emotional. You were talking about how their temperament, they can be emotional. Many of them, when you don't talk to them, in fact, you are like killing them softly. You are like killing them softly, especially women who love their husbands and who love communication. So, effective communication should be maintained in the home, irrespective of other areas of disagreements, fights, quarrels, and all of that. So that's the way I say it. It should be maintained. If it's not maintained, it could actually have a very, very large negative impact on that home, because the wife will not know when the husband has gone astray, and the husband will not know when the woman has left the marriage. Yet they are like talking, but they are not communicating.
Mrs. Patience, could you give us an example about communication problems? Because I've seen a situation whereby there was this woman that was she's asthmatic, okay, and then she needed to have her inhaler, okay, and the man, they were not on talking terms. They had a quarrel and all that. So she was trying to communicate with the man. The man was too angry to listen to her, and she actually died on the bed. After almost 24 hours, realized the wife wasn't waking up, and he wanted to get up, want to go to work today, and he found she was dead. So what do we do about such a thing? Because he talked about, Mr. Soji talked about somebody keeping malice for 5 days in a marriage, in a home. Why? Why should that happen when they are living together? Please tell us.
Okay. So, in essence, I'll be saying that there are various ways you can improve communication in the home. Because it's quite unfortunate what happened to that woman was as a result of lack of communication, positive communication. So, I'll say that to promote good communication in the home, you need to create room to understand and know each other very well. You need to create room to have activities, fun activities, learning activities together that would promote you to exchange ideas, to talk to yourselves, to know yourself better. It's unfortunate that some people do not give room for them to understand and know themselves better, maybe as a result of work pressure, as a result of other activities, But then it's very important to do those activities, talk to other couples, learn from them, get to know how they are doing it in their home, what is making them to live better. Talk to other couples.
Thank you so much. Viewers, I hope we have learned a lot from about communication from our wonderful guests. My guests have been Mr. Soji and Mrs. Patience. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your contributions. We have learned that communication has to be effective. We have also learned that we should try in every way to make sure that we do not break that communication gap in the family, because it has led to a lot of issues in the past. So, thank you for viewing today. This is where we join the curtain on today's topic. See you some other time next week. Stay blessed. Goodbye.